now for the Shop Report with
Barbershop Jay.
Hey, welcome to the Shop Report special presentation of the Turnbuckle slash the regular show. We'll call it. Don't sue us. I, of course, am your host, none other than Double J, and I got my guy to my right, your left, none other than D Gully from the CO Lumbus.
What's going on? What's going on? Great to be back with you. Great to be back with you. It's been a while, man. We had some changes and adjustments, and the enthusiasm is back. You know what I mean? And with the enthusiasm, I'm glad to be here, bro. How about yourself?
Likewise, man. It's been too long, and we got a lot to dive into. That's the beauty of making up for lost time, right?
First, let me preface the fans by saying, listen, I ain't had dinner, and I'm gonna enjoy this pizza sparingly, but I ain't had dinner, so please forgive me. Pardon the rudeness. I don't want us to get caught up in those litigious situations. You understand?
All right. So with that being said, those, of course, that may have heard me a little earlier on Paul Feinbaum's show, I mentioned a 2014 playoff that, of course, is what is being highly sought after by the Big Ten Conference and is somewhat being frowned upon currently by the SEC. And what I felt is that Greg Sankey, as we've talked about in the past, Gully, was concerned about losing the conference title game. And when you talk about rapid expansion or expansion in general, that's been, of course, a big topic of discussion, I would say universally in sports right now.
Right.
But I felt there is a pathway to success while while preserving the pageantry of yesteryear.
Yeah. And I felt the same way. Well, I felt like the pageantry of yesteryear, the preservation of what is established I think it's important to the game. And I was very much against an expansion because it would dilute that. I think it would dilute what it meant for having a conference championship game and then having some of these bowl games. And like I said before, we're a decade removed from it, but I did not think that I would miss the BCS, as controversial as it is, or as it was, given so much expansion and how we still have the repetition. Think of it this way. Absent the BCS, the Big Ten is now the new SEC. For 3 straight years, the Big Ten has laid claim to the national title, right? And before that, you still had SEC dominance, if you will. SEC strength and historically was there. But now you have a new dominant conference, if not a dominant team. So what's old is new again, right? It's still something to complain about. The same people are winning all the time. So the BCS and the college football playoff did little to fix the fact that people were tired of the repetition, feeling like the same people all the time get the same opportunities to win the same title. All right. Instead of it being Alabama representing the SEC all the time. It is the Big Ten representing the champions all the time. So we didn't get it. We didn't get as far from the fair competition as we think. I am a fan of. No, it is not. I'm a fan of the bowl games being quality matchups, and I don't necessarily know how much more expansion will give us greater competition. And you can clip that.
Absolutely. So right away, without further ado, I'm going to present my solution here. Okay. As you see from the graphic itself, the only assistance I needed was just putting it all together. I had already done the legwork on this. And so in order to find what's both profitable and, again, that happy medium of prosperity and profitability, and also preservation, right? The 3 Ps here, we'll call it.
Okay.
We'll keep round 1 at the campus sites. So again, before we even get to round 1, the $100 million issue for the SEC was their conference title game.
Right.
The idea, as you've even discussed, was, okay, we don't want to lose those, and we don't want to make them meaningless, so to speak.
Right.
And so the best way to reinforce their significance and also prevent things like opt-outs and that type of deal is to reward them, right?
Okay.
And because we're at a day and age where the Power 4 conferences are there,
right.
What we're seeing here is ultimately they get a double bye into the, and again, I know that has a history of not faring too well, but at least surface level, Indiana proved that was not a problem for them. So everybody else just needs to figure it out. Maybe take notes from Kurt Signetti. And so what you see is obviously your quarterfinals with your top 4 seeds. Those would essentially be all conference winners.
Okay, so the conference champions, so the Big 4 conference champions are guaranteed a 1 through 4.
Correct, and that's what you see right here. Double buys for the conference champions, SEC, the Big, the ACC, and of course the Big 12. So that way nobody feels slighted. That can be reordered essentially via.
So the best ranked conference champion and down to the 4th ranked conference champion determines the 1 through 4. So the ACC might go undefeated, let's say in this season, and ACC Miami might be a number 1 based off of their record or strength of schedule. So you do the whole record strength of schedule thing, and you determine who of the Big 4 becomes the top. How to shake out the Big 4. All right, got you. From there, go ahead, continue.
Well, and a part of the reason why I wanted to really bring this up in general is because what's come under scrutiny, and I've heard 2 different takes on this because it was 2 different networks, was ESPN's FPI. And if you remember, I pointed out to you guys when it came to basketball, to college basketball, that it was the former Kansas State coach years past. And he mentioned that because teams were struggling to get as many of their conference in to the NCAA tournament via at-large bids, what they needed to do was essentially rig the system. And what they did is they created essentially a power index that included things like strength of schedule. And what that does is it prevents smaller conferences from ever truly getting the apples to apples advantage because their conference is deemed naturally weaker.
Right.
And so with ESPN's current FPI going into 2026, listen to this, Gully. I'm going to tell you the top 15. Better yet, I'll give you the top 16. Ohio State.
Okay.
Texas.
Yep.
Notre Dame,
Yeah.
Oregon,
Okay.
Georgia,
Yeah.
IU,
Yeah.
Miami,
Mhm.
Alabama,
Yep.
LSU,
Yep.
Texas Tech,
Yep.
Texas A&M,
Yep.
Oklahoma,
Yep.
USC,
Yep.
Ole Miss,
Yep.
Michigan,
Yep.
Tennessee.
The usual freaking suspects every year. The same conferences are represented in the top 16 every single year.
Now,
Is that a problem? Hold on. First of all, is that a problem for me? Not necessarily, because those are the biggest games. Typically, whenever teams, any combination of those 16 teams meet another heavyweight, it's usually a big game, primetime game, very exciting, great for the fan base, great for football culture, great for revenue of the bean counters. So where's the problem?
as far as the FPI goes,
Yeah.
I have a big problem with it. And
Okay.
the first of which is, are you seeing, like you said, a reoccurring theme here, which is very much, it embodies what that statement that was made from the former Kansas State coach about, well, because we're better and, we're bigger and we're better, we get the advantage. And that's essentially, in my opinion, why you need the expansion, because what you need is true parity in terms of actual, again, remember, there's a vested interest via ESPN to have as many SEC teams in this thing as possible.
Right.
There, on the other hand, is a non-vested interest from ESPN to expand this beyond 14 teams, because that's what they have written contractually.
Right.
So you find yourselves in this really unique predicament, because this FPI thing is suggesting, well, the SEC is the best conference, right?
That's what they saying. Purely
based off the numbers.
Yeah, that's what they're saying. But does it remain the best conference? Because ultimately, we got to understand that revenue drives consideration in a big degree, to a large degree. Revenue drives consideration in this case. All right. When did we ever thought Alabama to be overrated?
Well, this is the first year that we have a 9-game conference schedule for the SEC.
Yep.
Why I'm throwing that in there is it now increases the probability of someone not reaching 10 wins
on a season.
Correct.
Like one of the heavyweights in the SEC not reaching 10 wins in the season.
That's right.
All right.
And why that's significant is how the committee has approached who gets in.
Okay.
Has a lot more to do with wins than it does any other metric, simply put.
All right.
So, in my opinion, the Big Ten may have baited the SEC into doing that in the name of equalness, if you will.
Okay.
Lack of a better term. Hey, we play 9 games. You should play 9 games. And speaking of, on that program, my school catches a lot of strays. But if you go and look, we, as on this program has clearly displayed it before, we also played more CFP teams per season than many.
Do you win them?
That's not the point.
Oh, no.
No. Hey, look, Jake Paul got in the ring,
Yeah, and what happened to him? All right.
But he still got in the ring.
A smash. Listen, we don't cuss on this program. But sometimes we don't cuss on this program. But sometimes a smash whooping is a smash whooping. All right. Just because you felt like you could get in the ring with the greatest of all time or the best in the era. Thank you, Timucci. Don't mean that the facts aren't the facts, and the smash whooping is a smash. So just because Purdue don't know how to punch at its weight, ain't got nothing to do with the fact. I mean, hey, they got credit. You know what I'm saying? They got heart. All right, cool. You got heart. All the heart in the world ain't gonna help you if you don't get the skill up too. No, Indiana figured it out. Didn't you just say it not too long ago before we started here? Indiana figured it out. So
Sure.
Purdue need to take notes.
Well, look, I'll address them really quickly. It's simply put, there's a divide in the fan base on clinging to how things used to be.
Yeah.
And adapting with how things are. And
correct.
to your point, IU had no problem. Again, Kirk Cignetti wanted to be in the state of Indiana because of where he had been early in his journey, and he knew he could be successful there. Purdue.
But wait a minute. But hold on. But we got to think about why he was successful. Because he didn't do what many of the other D1 coaches did.
Mm-hmm.
He went and got sorry, barbershop. He went and got grown ass men.
That's right.
To play football.
Mm-hmm.
And he used the current landscape to achieve that goal, which I think made it easier for him to do that than in years past. Point is, the strategy he employed was, in my estimation, was unique. Everybody else, many of the other schools, fought with or against this new NIL landscape to still kind of get the same type of players that they were trying to get before, when it was more landlocked and when it was more restricted. So basically, Alabama grabbed the same Alabama guys that they could, and there were fewer of them available because of the new NIL landscape. Nobody was looking at what Cignetti was looking at and recruiting and getting seasoned, developed talent. That I could tell. Because you know what? I know I'm gonna go out on them and say it, because Indiana is a program in its history had never been looked at as a vaunted football program.
Vaunted? More like they were the losingest program.
Right.
This was very much anybody that's played NCAA football, right, or college football, whatever they call it today, microtransactions. I'm glad they backed off that. But when you learn that they went private recently and who bought them, it starts to make a little bit more sense. I will let you guys all go and entertain that, but I'm glad at least the people did win in this case. In short, Gully, they did add microtransactions to essentially offline single player mode. Your thoughts, just quickly. They did remove them.
I haven't touched NCAA or Madden in decades. And just when I thought I might have, I'm going to be playing Red Dead Redemption 2 still in 2026, okay? So whatever virtual players, as much as I love Indiana football or love what they've done, I'm not going to be simulating any games playing. I'm not going through the season. I'm not going through the CFP or anything virtually in Atlanta microtransactions. I pay $80 for a game. I'm not paying that just to press buttons faster or just to make my character move a little fast. I'm good on that. Give me Arthur Morgan and let me find some old Driscolls in 2026 and I'm good. And you can clip that.
Fair enough. Yeah. From my vantage point, I did play the game in 25, and I'm for microtransactions if it's actually beneficial, not just for the sake of having.
See, what do you mean by that?
Well, like for example, like 2K, I'll pay the extra $15 to get the VC that'll get me to the 85 right out of the gate or up to a 90. And that way,
I absolutely cannot stand that. I absolutely cannot.
Well, look, I'll grind out
the idea of paying money to get your attributes faster versus actually getting skill and gaining. I don't know what conceivably I would do with microtransactions. But
have you been a 68 overall coming off the bench? Look, I sat there.
Because the environment
18 sitting next to Dennis Schroeder. or Schroeder when he had, you know,
NBA world champion Dennis Schroeder. I mean, world champion basketball player Dennis Schroeder.
FIBA world champ, yeah.
FIBA world champion NBA player Dennis Schroeder. Yeah, that guy.
Yeah, I was sitting at the end of the bench with him because this is when he was on the Hawks. Many may have forgotten that.
Yeah.
And we didn't play a lot of minutes. And this is back when they at least had some things. Like I remember I actually fought in the game. Like I feel like that was like a fever dream or a Mandela effect, something. I'm like, because I remember this actually happening. And then that got, of course, suspended and then kicked off the team because I was the last guy on the bench.
You need to check what medications you were having. I think you did not take the proper medications. Look,
I'm gonna have. I'll double check that.
But this is my point. You were 68 overall, and Atlanta VC or whatever else. Being able to pay your way to being better. I don't like it. I don't like it because here it is. Why not actually learn? Why not actually grind and play the game and get better? Why not? But see, what I'm saying is the environment that's created made it such that pay to play is the way to go. So for me being old school, and saying, oh, you should learn to play it the right way and learn to skill up and level up, that's archaic in that environment because there is no benefit really to doing that. If you can pay to get your player has a 95, because you're still pressing the same triangle X square circle, and it don't matter anymore that you leveled up or you paid for it. If you pay for it, actually, it makes more sense. I'm just saying it's just a travesty altogether because it's really you really can only succeed well if you pay, but that's the environment that they set. See, if you leveled up quickly, maybe they should have it a pace where you can't level up, like you know how you got like a bronze, gold, whatever else, where you can't peak to a next level rank if you pay for it. You got to stay there longer. And maybe a guy who don't pay for it, who actually grinds for it, can maybe get to another level rank higher. I don't know, but I'm just saying this is why I play Red Dead Redemption 2. This is why I'm an MMORPG guy, or I'm a strategy guy. I'm not doing this. I'm not. Listen, I got utilities to pay. I got a car note. I got insurance to pay. I cannot be a CPA who gives his son a $200 a month allowance, all the unlimited money to beat my brakes off because he can pay for VC and you can clip that. I'm good. That's why I'm out. I'm good on the simulations. Y'all can have the Mattins and the 2Ks and the CFPs. I'll enjoy them. I mean, heck, it's even in WWE 2K26, and I love that. You know what I'm saying?
What is with?
Isn't it on microchain?
Of course, yeah, absolutely.
I'm good. Yeah. I'm good. I want to be able to take my player in the world of professional wrestling and have him sharpshooter his way to the top without having somebody buy it. But I mean, you know what? Here's the thing. You know what? Everybody's a hypocrite. Actually, VC in WWE 2K in that environment actually makes sense. Because, you know, in professional wrestling, it's all about personas and making somebody in a program. And we see the OTC is talking real greasy to a guy that was the OTC before him, and he's also been made and manufactured himself. But I digress.
Okay, can I quickly ask you about that in particular? That, you know, not to sidetrack us too much, but you bring up a very valid point with that statement because if you remember, I'd shared something in the chat, both from with Jim Johnston in particular. Yes. Okay, and he says, "Oh, I just lost it here. I don't want to paraphrase, but." Jim Johnston on today's entrance music and star creation. So it's both.
Yep.
And this is in quotes here. It just sounds like noise to me. And all the themes just sound generic. It used to be whether it was my music or a Jimmy Hart theme or an outside band thing. You used to be able to be making dinner in the kitchen with the TV in the other room, and you'd know who was coming out.
Correct.
You could almost follow the program from the other room. Now I just don't think it's like that at all. And for some reason, the powers that be have forgotten their roots or something of how powerful music is in creating stars. And I further believe that that's why they're not creating either WWE or AEW. They're not creating big stars anymore. There are no new Steve Austins. There are no new Rocks around. And it's because everyone's sort of in this layer of generic. Gully, go ahead.
Yeah, it is bad unless you're Obafemi or Trick Williams or some of our legacy guys who've been around. So, you know, Randy Orton and Cody Rhodes and Seth Rollins and OTC and Roman Reigns. But it's bad for the men. It's even worse for the female on the female side in both big leagues. He's absolutely right. And yes, as much as he sounds like a bitter old guy whose time has passed, because in fact it has, he still can be right. You still can be bitter and lament what it used to be, and it still be preferred to what it is now. So however they go about manufacturing stars, you have to have things. You have to have a look. You got to have mic skills. You got to have a catchphrase. You have something to get the audience engaged. And also, that's what everybody, if you look at everyone that's ever been the all-time greatest, they had engagement from the audience from some combination of both of these factors. They had a look, they had a mic, they had a catchphrase, and they had a theme. Okay, Shawn Michaels embodied those probably the best of anybody in previous generations. That's why I think arguably he could be the greatest of all time. My pick is Bret, but Bret didn't have the greatest mic skills. Bret had a look. Bret had, I mean, of course he can get it done. You know what? And you notice even in the four, I didn't really say in-ring ability because Hogan was the worst of all of them, but he had the best. He had all four, right? I think Shawn Michaels was just better on the mic because it wasn't as predictable. You know where Hogan was going to go, right? Nonetheless, you had those things. Absent a theme, it's hard to do it with. Nobody did it without a theme, because eventually, even if they had the three, that theme worked. Like I can't imagine The Rock being The Rock without his theme music, even if everything else was firing. Even because he had a look, he had a catchphrase, and he had a mic. If he had a generic theme, I don't think it would work, but credit Jim Johnston for that, and Jimmy Hart and whomever else. So he's absolutely right, even if this time has passed. You see, though, when the guy finally makes it, if they really put the machine behind you, they'll put the thing behind you too. Maybe that's the key. They want to conserve and penny pinch so much and micromanage their assets. They're not looking at sometimes you have to do things like, if to borrow from another arena, I'm in IT. So whenever companies at scale do a massive IT upgrade, they kind of like throw away, discard the old technology for the new stuff, even though the old stuff was probably still working. So every 3 or 4 years, you get new desktops, even though the old desktops are still working, even though you can still probably run in this era, you're probably replacing desktops that were running Windows 11 with new desktops running new Windows 11. So the point is that is a lot of budget. That's a lot of there's a lot of money that you're paying just to stay in compliance, but it doesn't really help you innovate or help a company grow, right? I would say having originality in all of the themes from the likes of a Jim Johnston, or having those guys being able to license real songs, that might be more of an excessive budget expense, but they don't recognize that's part of the groundwork that you save on yourself by making a star. Every star that I named has a theme that you remember. There's not a single one in history that don't, except for Andre the Giant, who didn't have theme music.
What I appreciate most about this,
and you can clip that.
That's right. And additionally, if you recall, I mentioned, have we reached the stage where we can truly manufacture superstars? Whereas,
I think so. Well, hold on, wait. Have we reached this? Have we reached the stage where we can? Here's the thing. What we are doing is separate from what we are truly capable of. There's a distinction. What we are doing is separate from what we are truly capable of. Let me get political for a second. From 2008 to 2016, an African American was the president of the United States. In 1998, Tupac said, although it seems heaven sent, we ain't ready to see a black president. We got one 10 years later, and we look at the 10 years since he's been president. If we look at the trajectory and we looked at where the state of the country and the state of the political discourse between left and right or whatnot, does it look like we were ready to see a black president, even though we had one? Considering how things are so politicized, so charged, everything is so charged. You see how our reaction in the years since. Does it actually support the idea that we were ready to see that at that time? But we did see it at that time.
Mm-hmm.
I argue, because of the point I'm making, I'm arguing no. What is happening doesn't necessarily the actions you take doesn't necessarily imply that you're capable just because you can take those actions. You can go in there and you can lift weights. You can try to be on your weight if you want to. Nothing's stopping you except for when the bar don't get back up and you might be on your way out of here. But nothing really stopping you from doing things that you're not maybe capable of. So can they manufacture stars? That's what they're doing. But as you can see, without certain key core original elements, that process is hindered greatly and they lose interest before a star is able to take shape. Give them an original theme. Give them something that superstar can embrace as himself, because he got to hear it all the time. And let him come into his own character. Give him an aroma for him to breathe in, for him to personify or her to personify, instead of, hey, this is what you got to do. Go ahead and do it. And I think you'll get better, more authentic stars. You'll get more of them. And then you'll have a new set of challenges with a plethora of genuine stars that the people love. Instead of who else is next, I just want to see my top 6 guys and go home. Then you can clip that.
So two quick points. I think a lot of the nature of the restructuring of the deals.
Pull this off the screen if we go on this route.
What's that?
Pull this off the screen if we go on this route.
Okay.
Thank you, sir.
Given that TKO has since approached talent to restructure deals, and in the midst of a contract, suggests a few different things. First, it suggests that they believe they can manufacture talent, and that this potential cookie cutter concept can be impactful where they have the leverage over the talent.
Right.
If you remember in the early 90s, I believe, or maybe late 80s, early 90s, a future politician, to tie it back into you with politics a little earlier, attempted to unionize talent.
Yes.
And a superstar that we lost in the last year
said, it's not going to work for me, brother.
That's right. And had that ultimately get to Vince's ear, and he responded as most businesses in your history books did when other industries attempted to unionize in the last 100 years. And so that worked really well for his career. Of course, the rest is somewhat history.
Right.
And I believe it has never been more important for the talent to essentially consider going that route. And again, because we now have reached where we do have not rival companies, but we've almost reached a monopoly, right?
Okay.
Because you have AAA, TNA, you have all these entities under the umbrella of TKO.
Right.
And once you have nowhere else to go, which of course AEW is there, but even we've seen in the past 2 years how certain deals have came and gone with them also, right?
Right.
So no one's getting a pass on this.
Right.
But because they've asked talent to completely redo their deal in the middle of it, not at the end, right? Not in a renegotiation for next year. It was for right now. And that
Right.
includes not just folks that you would see at a house show or on main event. Your main events individuals have been approached. So no one is being yeah.
Yeah,
There
nobody's
you go. Yeah, nobody's safe, right? And so to Jim Johnston's point, if we believe as a company guy, if I were to play that role, that I can turn anyone into a successful face that, to quote Triple H, has the rocket strapped to them, then it is merely the power of choice on my behalf as to whom I want to compensate, because this is why I've, once again, to Jim Johnston's point, let's be honest, Gully, how excited do you get when you hear certain music now? Or do you,
like I told you, Oba, Randy, Cody, Seth, Roman, CM Punk.
and how many of them have been from the TKO era, like that came into the TKO? Exactly.
I'm sorry. No. Cody returned in TKO, and so did CM
No,
Punk.
right, but I'm saying from a
No, but none. No. But you're right. Not a single one that I named were established in the TKO era. They were all established under Titan Sports, under Vince McMahon, under the old banner, Vince and Paul, if you will, under that banner.
my issue is it lies with those two facts, and ultimately I believe that's exactly why we may, to me the writing is on the wall for TKO as an entity with, as it pertains to WWE. I actually think they need to potentially look at offloading the product, because
Are they not making money? Yeah.
Oh, I'm sure that, no, they're profitable. They're profitable, but we're reaching a point. So in the NFL, Roger Goodell's not going to have to deal with this, but the next commissioner will, which is it's going to plateau with these deals. And that's the thing. Roger Goodell won't have to deal with it, but the next commissioner will, right? Because the truth of the matter, as it pertains to the fossil known as cable television, is that they can only make so much off of those placements.
Okay.
Before it, because they're slowly bleeding away themselves, right?
Yeah.
And it's only going to save them for so long. The difference between the cable networks and, say, your streaming networks is the streaming networks don't need the NFL the way that the cable networks do.
Right. Okay. Right.
And so that's where your leverage now shifts, right?
Right.
This is where the NFL is going to have a unique problem when that day comes, because ultimately it will be coming, but it's just for the foreseeable future. You're still very much in the clear.
Okay.
So, but the same, in my opinion, is true with WWE and TKO, that you can only find so many billionaires that are willing to be the green shirt guy.
Yeah.
Or that are willing to just sit next to the Spanish announce table and just like have a headset on to hear it.
Right.
I still don't know what that guy paid. Wasn't it over 100,000?
Yeah.
Gully would.
No.
Okay. All right.
No, absolutely not. No.
I
There
can think of a lot of other things. Yeah.
There are children's hospitals and domestic health centers that I can much more thoroughly enjoy spending my money to help.
I didn't react that way. No, you're absolutely right.
Right.
So
go ahead.
I turn to you with this.
Mm-hmm.
We have now reached the stage where the product is digital.
Yep.
Fewer house shows, less bumps, more filler.
Mm-hmm.
But we do have those subsidiaries rather, that appear to be putting on a better product.
Yeah.
AAA with The Undertaker.
Yeah.
NXT
of the decade
with Shawn Michaels.
Yeah.
Even LFG with a combination of Booker T and Prince Albert.
Yeah.
Intentionally.
Right. Lord Tensa.
Well, and we have now been told, even though you and I, with our own eyes, have seen a certain individual figurehead who is in the gorilla no longer be approachable according to talent.
Right.
Are we on a collision course for change?
I think so. Because why would that change? One of the hallmarks of his leadership was becoming a more talent-friendly environment in space. Time off for mental health was a big thing. Being that he was a talent first, and he did the legwork and the stretches, and he went through, think about what he went through in his career. He understands the value, and he understood the need to recognize these are human beings, and we're not just part of a circus, even though that is, in fact, the way the program runs. And I say the program, the industry of professional wrestling, circus. So he humanized his talent to a great degree. So to have that change is a bit unfortunate, because that was a sigh of relief for guys that were being burnt out, and then people he had conflict with. You know what I mean? So for that to change, it is unfortunate. What's responsible for that change? I don't know. It could be him being told that, or him being tired of it, and maybe him being less approachable is because he anticipated having people creating distance, because he's got so much to run that he is expecting people up underneath training up the future to be approachable, and maybe they don't trust the guys they have to talk to instead. But the idea of it is, in order for leadership to really be effective, I got to be able to train my replacement. And if my replacement can do what I can do, then I can level up. But if my replacement can't do what I can do, or if my understudy can't do what I can do, then he ain't really qualified to be there. And so I got to get another one. So maybe that's the case. They don't trust whom they're supposed to talk to now, because this guy has to move even further away, because in the end, the WWE umbrella is the main WWE product, and the TNA brand, and the AAA brand, and the NXT brand. And so that's a lot of brands for you to be like the one guy that's approachable to everybody.
Speaking of worlds colliding.
Mm-hmm.
WWE is now going head to head with AEW directly. Same night, same city, bigger arena.
And they're doing that with the AAA brand.
Correct.
They picked the right one. They picked the right one to do it. This is actually pretty. It's pretty impressive for AEW that you got this much attention from WWE. That effectively they acknowledge that AEW has poked the bear in getting the attention of the wrestling fans or the casual fans or the fans who like actual professional wrestling. There's still an element to AEW that I hate the no sell in AEW. I hope they calmed that down. I don't know that they did, but absent the persistent no selling, overall you're getting what you want, and you're getting talent performing, and you're getting personas that are great performing against one another without a whole lot of filler.
Well, I don't know
But now you're putting that against, but you're putting AEW, which is doing what I think is better. What AEW does better than WWE, they're putting that up against AAA, and has evidence by El Grande Americano versus El Grande Americano. AAA of any brand is capable of delivering the type of product that AEW does. This is where I'd say AEW poked the bear. I don't know how this is going to turn out. It's going to be a bad night if you got tickets.
Look,
you can't lose. Either way, you won't be losing. You won't be losing.
Serious question. Could we potentially see the 2026 version of the Invasion?
No. I don't think so, because, well, if we did, I think AEW would be more likely to do it.
I would encourage it.
In what way? You would see AEW stars invade WWE product in the WWE arena?
What are they going to do? They would panic. If there's a look, here's the part of me thinks, maybe from my recollection of that day and hearing the story from Nash and Hall's perspective, being on the other side of that gate, that a part of me believes if that security guard had opened that, it would have been the best thing that could have ever happened for it. That history itself would have been rewritten that day. Not because of the outcome of the two actually seeing one another, but what would have the ripple effect from that. To me, it would have been the inverse of when Eric Bischoff had mentioned that Mankind wins the title and everybody goes and runs and turns it on. Putting these guys on the USA Network, right?
Yeah.
Not only that, hearing the perspective that Nash and Hall had, where they were going to get very physical.
Yeah.
I believe that would have benefited them. And so, from my perspective right now,
it would have validated them as outsiders, and that would have been a big problem, because that would have been a big problem, because you talk about, like, we forget, like, Kevin Nash is almost 7 feet, 300 pounds, and he got go. He's from Detroit, Michigan. Scott Hall is 6'8", 280 pounds. And he was a former bodyguard. And remember, that's probably a significant event in the tragic hero story of his life. You really about to let that gate open? You really? I mean, Billy Gunn ain't no joke either. But I'm just saying, It was 6 of y'all. It was 6 of y'all. You know what I'm saying? It was 6 of y'all.
I just don't believe that those guys were actually prepared for that gate being open.
No, you talking about the visitors or the home team?
The visitors.
Yes, exactly. They were not prepared for what would have happened. That security guard on the other side of that was sparing them, not his home team, because that's all they would have wanted anyway. To be able to have those guys invade and then let it fall out, because the embarrassment would have been at the feet of WWE or WWF at the time.
And that's very much my point. I believe that would have been the outcome. And I think I don't know how you creatively go from there.
Right. I don't know.
Because you would have to address it to some extent.
Yeah.
There would be potentially real fallout legally.
Yep.
The longer that gets dragged on, the better it looks for what would have been the B product at that point in time.
You're absolutely right. You're absolutely right. It would have been no. At that time,
well, was that within the 28 weeks or
not? Yeah, that was that was certainly within it. I think that was the provocation behind it. WCW was in the lead at that time. They were the ratings winner at that time.
See, and I don't look, man.
If that gate would have opened,
I think it's over. I think that would have sealed their fate.
Certainly.
And so my point here with AEW is that you go over there, cameras rolling. I don't think any of those guys are anticipating that. I don't know how they would handle it.
See, I'm not sure. But I'll tell you what, when I go back and I look at this event. All right, AEW, All Out. WWE put Worlds Collide, cleverly insinuating not that WWE and AAA are colliding as worlds. No, it is a thinly veiled shot at the rival product. And I will tell you this, using AAA, I'm not certain, but I believe that Chicago, Illinois has a large Latino American, Hispanic American population. Right?
Oh, absolutely. They have a little village. Absolutely.
So to put that, not NXT, not TNA, not a WWE event against AEW, it is a strongest shot as you can put against AEW, because you get in a tightly, you're getting a large fan base, a large specific fan base. They're gonna buy the tickets. AEW is gonna put on a great product, but I think it's a shrewd move for sure for WWE, and I'm speaking objectively. I think it's going to work out in WWE's favor.
All right. Well,
it would have worked out better in their favor if ESPN isn't the exclusive home of WWE PLEs. But if it was on Peacock, oh my God.
Well, you walked right into this from my perspective, because good old JR attributes the low ticket sales for SummerSlam to WWE not having any white hot stars. And then in quotes, I would say that WWE doesn't have any one wrestler that's just white hot. You got to have somebody hot, somebody that people are talking about. And they don't have that right now. They have a lot of great talents. I'm not saying that, but it's always been a matter of how they're utilized. They got to do a better job of utilizing their talent and seeing where that takes them. You got to get somebody hot. Wrestling has always been, at least in my opinion, an attraction-driven business. That's like when Austin was on fire. He would come out, they'd do a run-in or something, and it worked. They got ratings. People loved it. Right now, WWE doesn't have somebody in that role. What say you?
I don't think he's wrong. I would like when these guys make these takes, give me an example.
Well, Gully, I think we just kind of brought that up a moment ago about the we believe is the general pulse, or at least I can speak for myself, certainly stand on that limb and say that there is a true divide between talent and management.
Okay.
And I'll just say hierarchy as a whole, and that lack of respect, and to Jim Johnson's point earlier about the genericness of the modern wrestler, or the TKO era, is emphasizing Jim Ross's point here.
Yeah. Yeah. And then the idea too, man, is 2 nights. So it's compounded by the fact that it's 2 nights. I think JR's point is valid, and I think there's there's validity to his point. And then when you think about the fact that 1 or 2 nights, you're gonna get a collection of, in terms of, it's not overwhelming where you should go. It's kind of, it as a collective, it's underwhelming because you're not gonna get the stars you might see. You're not going to be conflicted on which night I go to, because you don't see anybody. You don't have, to borrow from the ruthless aggression era, you don't have Edge on night 1 main event and John Cena on night 2 main event, and you really got to pick, right? You don't have that. So what do you do? Again, that's why I think, like, my question for JR, my challenge to JR is, like, give us an example. Like, who do you think could have been, who do you think is the closest to being that? You're right. And then if Obafemi ain't in the world heavyweight title picture soon, then that might be, then we might have to wonder, because I think he's the next one up, and I think he's it right now. And I think they need to go ahead and give the young guy that reign that they gave to a young Brock Lesnar, that a young Kurt Angle got, and that a fairly young Randy Orton got. And you can clip that.
I don't disagree. And it's really funny to me, because Tom Brady says he thinks he could have at least one match in WWE. He's waiting for Nick Khan to make a storyline for him. And in quotes, "I need to get an invite. I've been waiting for Nick Khan to come up with some storyline for me to get in the mix."
If they don't put Tom Brady versus Peyton Manning in a mixed tag team matchup, oh my goodness. Tom Brady versus Peyton Manning. Oh, listen. Tom Brady versus the Peyton and Eli in a tag team match versus Tom Brady, and who would you pick? Who would it be? Who would be his tag partner?
Well, wouldn't you be better off with, like, maybe like Arch Manning? Somebody a little younger.
No.
Look.
Look, you got Tom Brady versus the brother he beat and the brother he couldn't.
But who's going to be with Tom, right? Because he even says in this quote here, "My boy Gronk's done it. I've seen Logan Paul do it." So he's mentioning former teammates.
He got to bring Gronk. Tom and Gronk versus the Eli versus the Mannings, the brother he beat and the brother he couldn't. That's it. Listen, you can clip that. Tom, I got you, bro. Eli, Peyton, come holler at me. I got the whole thing built out. We can get it done at WrestleMania Vegas.
Is that a good enough draw for you?
For a calamity, I'm telling you, man. And then Tom gets the pin, Eli 1, 2, 3, and finally gets the victory in the big event that he never got during his playing career. Oh, come on, man. It's right there. And you can clip that.
Yeah, I have mixed feelings on that one, but we'll see. I think you may be onto something, certainly. Here's what we have Saturday night. Michael Cole has confirmed that CM Punk and Cody Rhodes will face Gunther and Sami Zayn as the main event.
on Peacock. Am I reading that right?
So the main event on Saturday will be a tag team match with CM Punk, the WWE champion, teaming with Cody Rhodes, the guy he meets at SummerSlam for the title, against Gunther and Sami Zayn.
Oh, I love it. I love it. I love the dysfunction that's going to occur, costing the tag team matchup for CM Punk and Cody versus Gunther and Sami Zayn. I like it. I don't mind it. I like it. I am not disappointed in that at all.
You know, we've seen this in the past, right?
Okay.
Matter of fact, isn't AEW doing the same, something similar with having Omega and Ospreay along with Moxley?
Yeah. Well, you don't like it. Why you don't like it? Tell me about it. Tell us. Tell me.
I think the issue I have, well, I have a few, but I see your point of view in this. But the problem is we've seen this before. Putting the two that are going against one another as, you know, a tag team right before. I get, we've been here before.
Listen,
was it John Cena and Randy Orton? Who, you know,
because you have too long a memory for the micro generation.
How does this get me excited about the thought of those two? Which I already have a problem with Pepsi. Phil, I feel like he's embodied what he said he wasn't.
Oh, you done bought that Kool-Aid too, bro? like who like people really buying into this? Like, oh man, listen. Christopher Nolan's brother said the most impactful statement I've ever heard in the 21st century. Either die a hero or live long enough to become a villain. And this is exactly what is happening. Like, what do you mean? He's buying he's becoming that which, like that promo. Hold on, who said that? Wasn't it? Was it Roman that gave him that in that promo? Right? Yeah, Roman gave him the promo. Yeah. I mean, it was clever. It was cute. It's a potent. Hold on, wait a minute. What am I looking for? No, it's potent, right? But bro, when you're 48 and you done did it all, what more can you do? Like who's doing what CM Punk? Who would do it differently? Has Cody not done what CM Punk has done? Has Roman not done what CM Punk has done? Oh, who's remained more authentic or whatever? Who's done it? As far as I can tell, John Cena is in it, has many roles as The Rock. And remember what that was about?
Okay.
When you age up, you do things differently. I don't think he's betraying anything that he said that he was when he was coming up. I don't know that he's had. And I say that what perhaps maybe being blind to certain issues. So definitely call me out on it. Show me the tape. Show me the footage. Let me see it for myself. I don't see it. And I it's not that I look at what you see and just choosing not to. I don't see it. So please, I would love to stand corrected.
So, well, I'm a big proponent of numbers, right? Maybe to a fault via our host Barbershop Jay. So last Friday, SmackDown drew its biggest audience since May 22nd. Okay. That audience was 1.2 million viewers, Gully.
Yeah.
4 to 5 years ago, SmackDown was pulling at least 2 million regularly. Go back 15 to 20 years, and it was 5 to 6 million.
15 to 20 years ago, SmackDown was pulling 5 to 6 million, right?
That's right. That was Vince Russo. SmackDown. When he made the B program, the A program via the numbers.
Against what competitive landscape? What else was there to watch as far as professional wrestling on a national scale has consisted?
Are you really going there right now? That in a world of access, that they can watch it regardless of where they are now? They had TGIF was on.
In 2006, TGIF was gone.
Are we sure?
By 2006, Stephon Urkel was gone, and Laura and Steve had been married, and they had kids already.
Okay, it officially ended on September 8th, 2000.
Yeah, exactly.
But wait. ABC revived the branding for 2 shorter runs that concluded on September 15th, 2005.
What did you say? 2006.
2005. Oh, you're talking about
the whole Vince Russo running SmackDown. Vince Russo getting 5.6 million. No, now understand this.
Here's 20 years ago. Yeah, 15 to 20 years ago.
Here's what I'm trying to tell you. 15 to 20 years ago, to get 5.6 million is good, if not great. But the 5.6 million that you got was attention for people who wanted to watch wrestling. What other alternatives were they getting during the week? They were getting SmackDown on Fridays, Raw on Mondays, or in TNA they would get like what? Where on the scale? Where on the scale was TNA? What other company was around back then? Because by then ECW was another WWE brand.
Okay.
So there was nothing there. So to get 1.2 in the age of streaming, when you can look at any and everything else, come on, in 2006, there wasn't even 2006 YouTube was a year old. There wasn't even live content on YouTube. Could you even live stream there? Before the iPhone, bro? You giving me comparative rates before the iPhone?
Absurd. I'm not going to support this. There's no way.
You don't have to.
There's no way.
Your statement does. You
2005.
2005, YouTube and the YouTube
was around.
Was a year old. You couldn't even go live on YouTube, bro.
So you're telling me it was easier to have people butts in seats, so to speak, at home in 2005?
Where else were they going to get their content from?
The internet. Come on, Gully. Don't do that. Don't 1980s us with.
How? I'm talking about a specific type of product, which is professional wrestling, a niche product, if there's any. Professional wrestling. Okay. Where else were you consuming media content at scale? People did not have, listen, there was no, Facebook was still only for colleges. There was no Instagram. There was no TikTok. There was no Fubo. There was no Kick, no Twitch, no Twitter. There was no OnlyFans, and there wasn't no Hubs, if you understand what I'm saying.
Oh my.
Where else were you going to get a niche product such as professional wrestling? It was the biggest horse in the barn. It was the show. It was the event.
All right.
So
I got something for you.
Go ahead.
I'll transition it to this. Ratings 2 years ago, SmackDown July 5th, 2.2.
Yep.
Whereas AEW Dynamite was 691. So again, 2.2 million versus 691,000. Then present day, we'll call it July 3rd, SmackDown 1.0. Dynamite 779.
Closer.
So here's the interesting takeaway, right? So you have about 80,000 increase to Dynamite.
Yep.
And you have a reduction of 1.2 million, essentially.
Yep.
Where did the 1.1 go? Because they didn't go to Dynamite either.
How you figured it didn't go to Dynamite?
The numbers, bro. The numbers. 691 versus 779. So, yes, there was an increase. You could say of the 1.1.
On what day?
This is July 3rd and July 8th of 2026.
July 3rd and July 8th, 2026. All right, listen, man. Here's the thing. You know what? When it comes to numbers, we act like people don't got other to do. like this is
no. So I've given you the long version of this.
Why I know I'm not meant for certain corporate atmospheres because
you're an apologist.
Yeah, I am an apologist. What I'm saying is, if Cody Rhodes as champion got better numbers than CM Punk, then I can live with it. I can still live with whatever numbers he's got. But I'm saying the low numbers, it's as if when you have wrestling product, your product is the best thing ever, and your numbers got to support it being the best thing ever. It cannot consider that people might have other to do. And so when the numbers are low in a lull because of other exigent circumstances, it's as if you're a failure. When really, nah, bro, it's like the middle of something. Like, what else is there not plenty of things to do in July 4th weekend? Are people not at Myrtle Beach at scale? Well, you just brought it. Okay, well, they got to be at Myrtle Beach on their iPhones watching it. Like, this is it's the dead of summer.
Gully, here's what I got a big problem with here. In both of those examples, what we see is dwindling figures.
Okay.
This is why I gave the example earlier of what the NFL would face and why I believe that reality is knocking on the door for TKO and just the IWC as a whole. It's something has changed. Whether if you want to call it, there's that level of attrition is substantial.
It's substantial because everything is everywhere all of the time. And so you're comparing numbers and expectations to when your audience was more captive, and when they're dwindling, you think it's because your product is failed, not the fact that you're getting competition to general apathy. Your competition is apathy. It's not other programs or other content. It's just everything's everywhere. So what happens is people starve for some people who are just bored because it's just everything is everywhere all the time, either turning their TV off or they find something that could just be a bit different. It's apathy. It is not, hey, well, all right. So in AEW's case, they might be taking some of that audience away, but about darn time. They've been around since 2019. In 7 years, they finally started getting to the rear view of WWE after 7 years, when we thought even 3 years ago, we was looking at hoping that Shane McMahon would buy the company to turn it around. So in 7 years, they finally are 8 legs back of WWE. And you can clip that.
My issue is this. That negative 1.1 in a matter of 2 years. We can suggest it's what the why behind it is what you provided.
Okay.
We could also say that there's in general more layers to it than that, inclusive, or not to be limited to what platform it's being, platform changes, right?
That I still think that has a big to do with it.
So one of the biggest things as it pertains to the World Cup, and a lot of folks that are talking about soccer spoke specifically about just that, about access being an issue, because at one point in time there was the Apple TV MLS deal. So if you can't see the games, how are you supposed to ultimately watch it, right? And so to your point here, you yourself have fallen victim to this, and myself included. But what is the long-term impact? It's kind of like Chernobyl in a way, right? Or just the concept of, hey, there's an initial blast from said item, and then here's these long-term effects that occur. This is something I've been very much discussing as it pertains to youth sports, a much broader level, but I think it can be the way that they look economically at places like Gary, Indiana, and say this is what economic decay looks like on, and
Shout
this
out
is
MJ
yep.
and the Jackson family, including Marlon, Tito, rest in peace as well, Jermaine, Jackie, Reby, Latoya, Janet, and Joe and Catherine. Sorry, I digress.
By having an example like that, you can potentially say, here's what our long-term impact is.
Okay.
If you have less people watching,
Yep.
you have less people buying merch. You have
Yep.
less people identifying with the product.
Yep.
You have less people that are trying it in their backyards.
Yep.
And ultimately, you have less people attending, viewing, consuming your product, which means they are doing something else.
Yeah, with their time. Right.
How do you ultimately address that clear and obvious issue? Because we
So you
have
said, all right.
Mhm.
So first thing, much as I like CM Punk, if I'm being objective about it, then the first thing you do is you move it back into somebody who can move the needle. So if that's the case, then you take the title off of Punk, bring it back to Cody, bring it back to Roman, or find that person, right? And that's what we talked about a little earlier. You have to address whom you're building and why. I certainly think after all this time, Randy Orton should get his final run with it. I think that will boost ratings tremendously because he's so beloved even with the Gen Alphas. And I think people are pining for him to have that one last run. So for him to have a title run and then feature some of the newer guys feature some of the newer guys at matches or in angles would be helpful. But to address it, I think, okay, be an objective. All right, take the title off of Punk's hands. Go ahead, bring it to somebody who can draw. Who can draw more? Do you think Cody Rhodes can draw more than Punk right now? At this moment, like at this specific stretch of time, right now, for the next 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 months, do you think Cody Rhodes can draw more than CM Punk? If so, then give it back.
Well, it goes back to JR's point about
goes back to JR point, and not only JR points, but Jim Johnston's point. We don't have the next guy in waiting that we could tell. I don't think people are ready for Jey Uso or Solo or any of the other tribal family. I don't know that they're ready. Maybe Braun Breaker might be ready, but I don't know.
I think it does speak to a bigger issue that I believe will contribute to maybe not the demise per se, but what I truly
this is the necessary precipitation that facilitates a shift. Ooh, wow. That's a lot of tongue twisting words. I can't say that again. And you can clip that.
Well, I think, look, in short, I believe that you may not be able to get those people back. And, there's a generation out there that
extreme.
But I don't think I'm saying that as a blanket statement to the NFL, to college football, to soccer in America, to to the international wrestling community.
By the way, I want to talk to you about soccer in a moment. So once we wrap this,
Yeah, we'll get there. And so it leads to another point, which would mean dwindling income. And what we have is CJ McCollum on Forbes saying 2 million is not really 2 million because it gets chopped down to under 1 million after taxes and fees. And so early on, he lived off of a $12,000 energy drink deal instead. And so in quotes, let's say I was making 2 million after taxes, let's call it 950, 970K, agency fees 4%, marketing 15%. Those checks were chopped down. I was living off an energy drink deal. I had a $12,000 deal just to get some posts off, and I lived off that. And to which Kyle Kuzma responded, not going to lie, it's exhausting hearing athletes break down how their millions aren't really millions after taxes and fees. 40 million is after taxes, still 40 million. The real issue isn't the system, it's lifestyle creep. Nobody told you to live like a king, buy 5 cars, or move in with a 10 person. Entourage. Modest is allowed. Gully, what say you?
yeah, complaining about how life-changing income is slashed, and after slashed is life-changing income. For me to have to endear understanding from someone who making decent income being slashed to making not so decent income than being paycheck to paycheck. Yeah, it's a bit tone deaf, quite tone deaf. So I don't, and I think decades of athletes being handed lots of money and squandering it, and the lessons, the many lessons that I'm certain that they get at some point once they enter the league or before they enter college, by firsthand accounts of those guys who blew it, or by third-hand accounts of those agents who talked about it. There's enough examples for you to know, look, this is how you move, and this is how you act. At the same time, you're still dealing with the recruitment of impressionable young minds who don't really understand at all how money works, and they get a crash course. My point is to understand that 2 million slashed is 1 million. If you can't make 1 million work because you used to 2 million, or what, because you expected 2 million, if you can't make 1 million work, I'm struggling to have sympathy for you.
Well, here's another interesting point. Let's see if you feel any differently about this. The same Kyle Kuzma says, after sitting here watching NBA free agency this year and overall NBA movement over the past 2 years, somebody has to say it. The new CBA was sold as parity, but the first and second apron are starting to function like a hard cap on player value, team continuity, continuity, and player movement. Teams are no longer making purely basketball decisions. They're making fear-based apron decisions. That means good players get squeezed, homegrown cores get broken up, fan favorite teams lose their identity, and the overall product loses some of the nostalgia that made people fall in love with the NBA in the first place. This isn't about players not understanding business. It's the opposite. We understand that the NBA is a business. That's why the NBA PA has to operate with elite business acumen, elite negotiating strategy, and real foresight. The owners in the league walk into those meetings with killers that continue to run circles around us time and time again, with elite lawyers, economists, cap experts, media strategists, and long-term business operators. Players deserve a PA that is just as sharp, just as prepared, and just as aggressive about protecting our upside. Too often it feels like the players are informed about or after the fact instead of being truly educated and empowered before decisions are made. That cannot continue. The next CBA is a do or die moment for us players. It's only going to get worse for us. We need transparency, accountability, and a serious reevaluation of who is representing us, how they're representing us. This is not anti-parity. This is pro-player, fan, and product. The league is strongest when players are valued properly. Great teams can stay together, and the people representing us are operating at the same level as those sitting across the table.
At some point, this conversation is above me because they're talking about player parity among players. Multimillionaires are talking about player parity among themselves and billionaires when they are light years away from parity amongst individuals who earn very hard 5 figures and may struggle to keep up with life with essential lifestyle expenses on 5 figures. If you can't figure out how to make millions work for you, I don't know how much sympathy I can have. I can't. It's hard for me to understand what he's saying. I don't get it. Like I don't get it. Like I don't okay, what how sad am I about this? Why? What is this? What am I missing? Because are the Warriors, Blazers, Celtics, Sixers, and Warriors again 1 or 2 moves away from being able to compete for championships? And are their fan bases still going to be loyal to those jerseys in front, not the names on the back? Because in each of these 5 cases, I see more loyalty to the jersey in the front, not the name in the back. Because I don't see in this picture, I don't see Kevin Durant, I don't see Steph Curry, I don't see LeBron James, I don't see SGA, and I don't see Joker. So I see 5 players whose loyalty, except for that little kid that cried when Jaylen Brown got traded. All right, my bad. I see 5 players who had fan bases largely rooting for them because of the green of their jerseys, and they're going to continue to root for the green jerseys, irrespective of what number is on the front. I'm having trouble getting sympathy for multimillionaires complaining about how they get treated by billionaires when you have millions of dollars, which is enough money to field an army of acceptable, competent attorneys and advisors to help you create the parity that you're looking for. I don't have that option. And you can clip that.
Look, I think there's a little bit of truth here, but let's also look at the Pistons circumstance, right?
Okay.
Obviously, Jalen Duren had a very he had a disastrous playoff run.
Yeah.
And apparently all that's been offered was a qualifying offer. So you have not seen him at Summer League with Cade and the rest of the group. And it's just reiterating to Kuzma's point. Now that they're actually in line to be able to give him the salary he's looking for. I think but in general, this is kind of what's occurring. Tobias Harris had to walk in order to even make that possible. Right. So they're calling it again in the name of, they're saying kind of parity, but in reality, it's salary suppression.
You want me to take millions of dollars less to keep my teammates there, and I'm supposed to be upset at you about that?
Right. And they're trying to create that same narrative in college football right now, right? The high school player getting $12 million like Bryce Underwood.
Okay.
And the transfer player getting like Sorsby, who was the kid from Indiana, then Cincinnati. He was a topic of discussion because he was Pete Rosing it at Indiana, and ultimately was going to be he got $4 million from Texas Tech prior to him being asked to leave the program after the Attorney General was going to sue Texas Tech. and because he was going to play this season. So again, 12 million. Bryce Underwood, unproven, didn't have the best year, but Belleville kid, I believe in him. Whereas this other kid who has some reps gets a different dollar amount. So they're trying to create that type of environment as well. That's also part of the what was just a small fraction of the bill that was at the Senate level from Ted Cruz.
Okay.
Of capping essentially what you could give via position and transfer versus incoming freshmen.
Why does the government need to be like? What are we doing? I don't. It's a lot to this that I don't like. Why do senators need to be involved?
Well, you got to remember. I'll answer that for you. There was a venture capital firm out of California that was attached to this that would be able to determine the fate of any expansion or of any conference in the future. And they also would own the collective rights of the media rights of basically everybody.
Okay.
Which currently, of course, those are all owned by the conferences and the teams themselves. So
okay. All right. Okay.
So do you want a venture capitalist firm?
No, absolutely. On the surface, it seems like what are we doing? On the surface, it seemed like, well, why do we need to get the government involved? On the surface, because it's like, okay, it seems like too much money being made. Now the government want to put their hands in it. But if it's explained the way you explain it, and if it's valid the way you explain it, then that government intervention in this capacity does make some sense. Because worse than a government is a venture capitalist that ruins an institution for its own sake. It don't help the people. Like, when you hear venture capitalists, you might, all right, that might help the people because capitalism is what we do. It's the system we run by, blah, 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 blah. But really, when something's gutted, a long-standing institution or businesses is gutted and sold for parts, that aspect of culture is gone, and people make a lot of money by carving it up, by butchering it. All right, get it. So in that case, government intervention to help prevent that sort of thing is necessary. Cool. I understand that. And I'm not upset about that. I didn't know where that was going, though. You know what I'm saying, before you said it. So I appreciate further elaboration on that. Still, in the professional space, I'm supposed to lament a billionaire. See, because now I'm in a position where I'm about to say something that makes me sympathetic to billionaires when really I'm thinking about the concept of business. Look, I'm a billionaire and I want to pay. All right, I'll make it real simple. Steve Ballmer paid a lot of money to somebody to plant a tree and never reach an NBA final. Am I crying that he did? No, I'm not crying. I'm not upset for him. I'm not feeling bad for him. But I'm looking at, this is the money I invested for a result. And I didn't get the result that I'm paying for out of my money or whatever. I'm managing to pay for as owner for a certain result, for a certain class of product. I'm not getting it. But I continue to have to pay more each year, and you continue to want more and more and more from me, but I don't have a guarantee that I'm going to get players that will be able to compete at this level sustainably and give me that product. I don't know how much. That's where I'm at from an owner perspective. I'm trying to see, make it make sense, literally.
No, I don't disagree with you. First and foremost, private equity out as it pertains to me with anything, and especially sports. So I'll leave it at that. Then before we do proceed here, Gully, I have we'll take one quick break.
Yeah,
and we'll jump into the soccer talk quickly, and then I have, in closing, a new segment for you
Oh boy, something new. Yeah, let's get right to it.
All right. So without further ado, we will be RB.
It's Kay Cunningham, and you watching the Shop Report.
I'm Army Diallo, and you watching the Shop Report.
My name's Chris Marine, you're watching the Shop Report.
Oh, you're Jay Nolly, you're watching the Shop Report.
Max McKee, you're dropping in on the Shop Report.
Barbershop Jay, Quentin Hines, Super Bowl champion. I'm ready. Let's do it. I'm on.
Hi, I'm Mars Man, works at Mercury Stadium, and you're watching the Shock Report.
Hey, I'm Billy Butler, and thank you for watching the Shop Report. Hey guys, I'm Les Norman, former Kansas City Royal, and you're watching the Shop Report.
Commander Brown, Detroit Rivers Mountain Training, and I'm watching the Shop Report.
Hey, this is Doug Flynn of the New York Mets. Well, a few other teams, of course, too. And you're watching the Shop Report.
I'm Matt Ramos, and you're watching the Shop Report.
How you doing? I'm Rajay Davis, and you're watching the Shop Report.
How you doing? This is Nelson Figueroa, former Major League pitcher with a lot of teams. You're about to listen to the Shop Report.
Hey, this is Howard Johnson. You're watching the Shop Report.
Hi, I'm Heath Bell from the New York Mets, and you're listening to the Shop Report podcast. Yeah!
Hey, I'm Josh Sholey, former catcher of the New York Mets, and you're watching the Shop Report.
This is Edgardo Alfonso for the Mets, and you're listening to Shop Report.
Hey, this is Doc Gooden, and you're watching the Shop Report.
Hello, this is Mike Hampton, and you're watching Shop Report.
This is Kay Cunningham, and you're watching the Shop Report.
Hey, C.O. Moore, tune in live to the Shop Report, man. Checking in with the Chicago Bears. You heard it here first.
Hey, this is Herman R.V., former NFL offensive lineman with the Cleveland Browns and the Baltimore Ravens. And you're listening to the Shop Report.
This is Josh Cribbs, three-time NFL Pro Bowler, all-decade return specialist, and you're listening to the Shop Report.
Cleo Miller, former Cleveland Browns, and you're listening to the Shop Report.
Hi, this is Dick Ambrose. You're listening to the Shop Report, and go Brown.
Hey, this is the top dog, Hanford Dixon. Listen to the Shop Report.
This is Ernest Viner, and you are listening to the Shop Report.
Hey everybody, Jimmy Has from Cleveland Browns, and I can tell you my favorite podcast is the Shop Report.
And don't you forget it. All right, just like that, we are back. D Gully. Quickly, we got the World Cup final here coming up.
Yeah.
And of course, we've talked a lot about expansion today. I, of course, displayed my desired CFP that would also, as you saw on there, had some bowl games that exist that currently don't get more than 10,000 fans or tickets sold that I think would add a lot more value to those. But we saw the World Cup expand, and now it looks like it's going to expand yet again. Fair or foul?
Wow. 64 countries. How many teams already in the World Cup? 64, right? How many more teams on the country I mean, I'm just saying, like, look, man, if you can't make it to the top 64, what are we doing? I mean, if you're the 65th best soccer country in the world, like, then get it together.
Well, I will say this. So remember, currently we're at 48. It would expand to 64 in 2030. I will say this. If you wanted to try to make it make sense, which I believe it can, here's what it would mean: 128 games. And then, of course, it eliminates this third place game that kind of feels a little... It feels like the third place game in fantasy football.
What's wrong with that?
A lot, in my opinion.
Why?
Do I care that I'm third in fantasy football other than from a monetary standpoint?
What else do you care for? Right. Get a
Ricky Bobby, first or last, Gully. That's
no, because you do get an opportunity to see a team. You do get an opportunity to see another version of elite soccer. Because I mean, in the third place game, you're talking about teams that should have been there, right? That should, like, what if, and then you get the seeds, if you will, of next World Cup or next World Championship matchup, whether it be like the international games that might be, 2 years later, or the FIFA game. So I don't mind seeing the third place game for teams that got so far traveling internationally and not quite making it to that gold medal game. They still got something to play for. Still got something to play. They don't go empty. They don't go home and empty-handed. And for the fans, you're still seeing elite soccer. And then you got, you're already here. You get a chance to see a team that almost could have won it. Play again. I don't mind the third place game.
Well, I'm okay with the expansion. I have heard both arguments, even as it pertains to 48, where these games that are, someone tried to argue they were a little bit more meaningless because and I kind of disagreed with his point. Because back in the day, you needed to either finish the top 2 spots, and so you had to win. And if you had to win, you had to win by a certain margin. And to me, it got more complicated, right? And that is how the global game, to me, has been disconnected from America, in my opinion, right? When you start getting complicated, like, what do you mean they have to win and they have to win by X amount versus just win the game, right?
Just win the game, yeah.
Win and you're in, right? I actually feel like that benefited with the 48 this past World Cup. That helped immensely because the casual, I wouldn't even call them the casual. I would just say somebody, a human being with a pulse that was introduced to this for the first time, got to see the fans. And again, I as I stated on Paul Feinbaum's show, like, hey, watch the USL, right? I get it. MLS might not be attainable for you via Apple TV. USL is vastly different. It is deemed a rival league. It is deemed still semi-pro. There are tiers. They are going to bring promotion, relegation, which is what you see across the globe. So you're going to see desperation. And that's what you see at the World Cup is desperation, effort. Because if you lose, you go down. We don't have that here. We've stated, countlessly, we reward failure in this country with our sports teams. The rest of the leagues globally do not. So I like what we have, but at the same time, as I stated on the show earlier, I have to drive my kid to Illinois in 48 hours in order for him to get seen by 5 scouts from Liga MX in Mexico. In addition to that, I have to send an email to request him to be eligible to attend this college combine with 20 universities, that they're only taking 20 kids his age.
Okay.
And it costs $250. That doesn't include the nearly $500 in monthly dues. That doesn't include any travel to any of these events. It doesn't include any of those additional associated costs. And what's happened is this country has priced out its talent. You're not getting the best players. You're getting those that can afford it.
Right.
And
I say right because that's because it's all it's money.
And the rest of the world's the academies are both profitable, right? Because again, they use the verbiage of selling a player's rights, right? Essentially trading him. But if you were the team that person played for, when you sell the player's rights, you're allowing them to negotiate one-on-one, you get paid for that. You get compensated for that. Some cases, depending on their age, it could be $100 million, right? It depends, on that wonder kid. And there's some clubs that's their entire business model for the most part. When you look at, I think it was 2018 Dortmund, or recently, they had Holland from Norway. They had Bellingham from England. You literally had arguably the best, today, right? Like and they were all young.
Right.
And so, they naturally made an enormous amount of money with those guys. And so it just depends. But the way that the United States works, if Aiden's team, if he were to go sign with one of those teams, they get nothing. And so because that's the case, right, where the way they have it set up is the best players survive, right? They're paying their way, that not the parents, that the clubs are, hey, we're covering all of this. Think of it like a scholarship, right? So it's the talent. It weeds out the bad players that you get told before you're way before you're 16 years old, like, go play baseball, go play football, go play something else. This sport is not for you. And we're not doing that here. And so I do have a big concern with, that's one of the many layers of it, but access is the biggest. And then, of course, I don't believe that they're really looking in too many ponds. I think they're looking at the same spots that they have been. And unfortunately, that means if you're not affiliated with those, you are completely wasting your time and therefore your money, and you should be doing something else entirely. And I think that
it's become a business model, and they found the niche that helps to generate revenue for those who receive the revenue generated. And the illusion is that my son is, or my child is, getting better at sports and creating opportunity. By virtue of necessity, some stars have to be made. For example, the Toyota shop gotta sell a Camry at 0% financing. They have to. So one Camry is going to get 0% finance, or 2.9% finance. All right. 50 people going to get Camrys. They got to give you 2 at 2.9% finance. The rest of them joints going to be 7%, 8%, 9%, maybe 12, 13, 15%. But that's to get you guys in the door. That is the unfortunate business model. Because here's the thing: when we talk about sports say, hey, you can make money, you can become a millionaire, you can change your family's life. I just gave Kyle Kuzma virtually the third degree about it being a multimillionaire, complaining about what he gets from billionaires. So again, at the risk of sounding like a hypocrite, the consistency is that you're talking about lots of money be generated. So the opportunity to make a lot of money will be the opportunity to collect a lot of money along the way. And hopefully you have enough skill and wherewithal to last to get your money back for all the years of blood, sweat, and tears that you've invested as a parent and as a child in order to get there. But yes, it's an ugly system. It takes advantage of the purity of wanting to be an athlete, and knowing that you're an athlete and you're perhaps living out your dream, and the economic implications, or the economic freedom attached to you being a professional athlete, it's all being compromised by business people who make a business model, selling you on the dream and underselling you on how difficult it truly is.
I don't disagree with that. And so
you could clip that.
I do believe that that's a part of this that's going to have to get changed. And Gully, we have a new segment here, part of Name That Superstar.
Oh boy.
And it comes from NBA Live 2003.
Ooh, wait a minute.
You may have to make that full screen, but this
Keon Clark.
No.
Sacramento Kings 21, right?
No, that's Cleveland Cavaliers.
21 Cleveland Cavaliers? Hold on. 21 Cleveland Cavaliers. That is
Here's another one, but this is now from same player from but this is NBA 2K9.
Ricky Davis. No, he was He wasn't. No. Go back. 21 for the Cavs in 2003. In 2009, in NBA 2K9, he was number 7. Oh, I love this, by the way. I love this game. All right. 21.
So I'll go back. Here's the original image.
That's
that you see. That's that you see Elton Brand down there.
Yeah, for the Clippers.
That's right.
Number 21 for the Cavs in 2003. And it wasn't Darius Miles. Thank you, Merit Beauty. Appreciate it.
Very cool.
All right. Was it Darius Miles? He's gone. And it wasn't Ricky Davis. It's not Ricky Davis?
It is not Ricky Davis.
He was gone by 2003. I mean, by 2009. Number 7.
So this team consisted of Carlos Boozer, DeJuan Wagner,
right,
Desana Chop,
right, and then there was Chris Gatling for a while, for a moment, but he wasn't with them. Clarence Weatherspoon, no. Man, I'm stumped.
Just a reminder for a lot of these guys here. My PSN back then was I win wit Cavs.
21 for the Cavs in NBA 2.
Tony Battie was on the team. J.R. Bremer was on the team. Chris Mim was on the team.
Chris Mim, yeah, the draft night trade for Jamal Crawford, right.
Kevin Ollie, former UConn coach.
Yes, was on the team. And number 21.
Ira Newble.
21 for the Cavs.
Jeff McInnes was on the team. Jason Capono was a rookie.
And that wasn't
along with another 20 number being 23, LeBron James.
Wait a minute, this is 2003?
That's right.
So LeBron
Ricky Davis was on the team, but he was number 31.
So
Mateen Cleaves was also on the team.
Yeah. 21 in 2003. Hold on, don't tell me. And then he was number 7.
Zydrunas Ilgauskas was on the team.
Wait a minute, but no, they
name that superstar.
It could be Deion Waiters.
It's not Deion Waiters. I like where your head is at with this.
And it's not Ricky Davis. It's not Darius Miles. Boozer, LeBron. He went to number and in 2009 and 2K9 he was on the Celtics. I don't know who it is. Who is it?
Gully, you were tripping over it multiple times. This is players who skipped college. A year before Kwame Brown was picked first overall, Darius Miles had become the first high schooler taken earliest in the draft when the LA Clippers took him at number 3. Once compared to KG, Miles' career didn't, of course, resemble that of the big ticket, as he never developed quite into that star, but there was a brief moments of time where he looked like superstardom was destined because he was rated an 87 in NBA Live 2003. And his dunk rating was a 95, making him very much your prototype of like a KD without the 3. D Gully, I got one more for you. Sticking with 2003.
Oh, that's Eddie Jones.
Darn. I knew that.
Wait a minute. So who you hold on? So wait a minute. That was Darius Miles?
That was Darius Miles.
I said Darius Miles.
Well, no, but you said it wasn't Darius Miles.
No, I was saying it was Darius Miles. No, so I was asking you. I'm like, that wasn't Darius Miles. If we replay the tape, if we replay the tape, I didn't say that. No, I didn't exclude it. I asked the answer. I phrased my answer in the form of a question, almost like Jeopardy.
All right. Well, in the sake of
tiebreaker,
yep, we're going NBA Live 2004. So
35.
That's
not Rick
Indiana
Smits.
Pacers.
That's not Rick Smits. That's not Austin Collie.
It's not Austin Collie.
Not Rick Smits. Number 35. It ain't Chris Mullin.
It's not Chris Mullin. So, interesting fact about this particular player is that on the PC version, he actually is a free agent. He's not on this roster.
It's not Skidishvili, is it?
It is not Skidishvili.
It's not Skidishvili. No, I'm legit stumped here. I'm two for two, but this year I'm gonna be 2 for 3.
Well, wait a minute. I'm gonna give you a little bit of help to spark your memory here. This individual won a title as a member of the San Antonio Spurs in 2003.
Danny Ferry?
That is correct. He had joined in 2000 after 10 years with the Cleveland Cavaliers. And that offseason, he was part of a 3-team trade that sent Brad Miller to Sacramento, Ron Mercer and Hito Turkoglu to San Antonio, and Scott Pollard to Indiana.
Yes. Scott. Okay. Yeah. Scott. Yeah. That is Danny Ferry, the first Duke graduate to win a title. Now, he might not be the first, but he among the first. I think he's the most notable.
While Pollard played the next 3 seasons for the Pacers, Danny Ferry opted to retire. Hence why he's a free agent in the PC version, but he was on the roster of the PS2.
Then became the GM of the Cavaliers, responsible for help facilitate the trade to get Larry Hughes into the Cavs uniform. All right, man. Well, that about does it for me.
Absolutely. Likewise. All right. Good show. Any final thoughts from you?
Expansion has got to make more sense than it currently does right now for any of the teams expanding. Obviously, I think it's more about their chance for revenue, to increase revenue versus truly garnering opportunity and for the competitive landscape. And for that reason, it gets confusing. It dilutes what currently exists that I think is already large enough to remain competitive and to give opportunity for teams. Too much expansion is dilution, and remember, more concentrated, more potent, right? I would need further understanding for me to understand why a millionaire complains about still having millions, even if it's not getting more millions. Maybe it's because he just wants that from a billionaire, even though I ain't a fan of all the billionaires, right? That being said, man, appreciate the fact that we're able to talk about sports the way we are in this era, in this time. There's a lot of other things going on. A lot of y'all could be with us, could be doing other things, but thanks for tuning in to the Shop Report. We're glad to be back. And that's all I got for right now, Double J. What about you, man?
Yeah, well, again, definitely tune in to the momentum. You support your local soccer teams.
Yes.
Obviously, Cleveland is expanding, as our host kind of mentioned. USL is growing. DCFC's building a stadium right now that just broke ground on it, and it was privately funded, folks. So it can be done. I want to make that part very clear. Privately funded, no taxpayer dollars whatsoever. So it is time to start leaning on those billionaires, as you talked about, who are complaining about millions.
I would love in future shows or in future comments when we reach out to find out more about that, because that is a bigger deal than then we made it today. So sorry about that. That's a bigger deal. And so we want to find out more about that, so that way we can see about its feasibility and see how it's able to be done. So that way we can that can start a trend. You know what I mean?
Likewise. Yeah, I agree. And of course, great job on going in the Wayback Machine on the fly like that. I did not give you any kind of notice outside of the fact that it was going to likely be a blurry image. And those graphics were killer back then. And I was a bad man on the sticks with those.
Right. Now that was when I played live. Yeah, I was great. I was with the Spurs back then too, with the VC. You know, I think live 2003, that was the first soundtrack that went platinum.
That was the year with Fabulous.
Fabulous. It had Brandy. It had
Full Moon, I think.
It had Full Moon. Yeah. Nah, man, it was great times, great nostalgia. I think in future shows, man, we'll get back to gaming on the sticks, man, while we talk about this. You know what I'm saying? Some of that retro gaming. But hey, man.
Well, I'm gonna leave you with this. I'm gonna say in next show.
Yep.
We'll do a top 5 of just those types of soundtracks.
Top 5 video game soundtracks?
Not all video games, specific to NBA Live.
Ooh. All right, let's look it up. Let's dig him up. Let's do it. Let's do it.
Dig through the crates, the archives there. Again, 2003, like you said, that was not a surprise to me that one went triple platinum just in my household alone.
Right.
So, needless to say, we appreciate everybody that did tune in. You guys continue to follow and support us. You know,
we ain't gonna be harder. We're not gonna be hard to find. You're not gonna be hard to find no more.
Tap in on X now. Again, all you got to Double J. You'll see the verified there. Of course, Barbershop J as well, and of course D Gully's on there, and of course we're on Facebook, Meta. The whole 9. So as always,
I got it. I got you. You know what I'm saying? So like I say, you know where to find us. You know where to reach us. We'll be back. Next time you want to know what's really going on, come to the shop. Walk-ins are always welcome. I love